Hi guys, I am Kenya and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I want to give you guys some interview tips for property management positions. So if you are wanting to get into property management, I just want to give you some tips on how to go about it. Now, I'm taking this from my own experience from going on interviews, and also I have a part-time freelance job where I do evaluate leasing agents and property managers. Maybe I'll get into that in another video. So I'm speaking all from experience, okay? So as far as your interviews go, now I know for me, when I'm online, whether it be ZipRecruiter, Indeed, or whatever website that you go on to apply for jobs, when I see leasing agent jobs, assistant property manager jobs, or any job within the property management that falls under that umbrella, and I look at the description and I feel like I can do it, I just apply. You know, I apply for the position, and if they reach back out to me or if they invite me to an interview, that is when I will go further and do my own research on that company. Now, as far as job interviews, now I will say property management, especially if you want to get into those grade A properties, which are the high-end luxury type of properties, appearance matters. Appearance is a big part of you getting that job, how you look. Now, there are 4 types of properties. There is grade A, B, C, and D. And I'm going to get into that in another video. But I notice a lot of people, they want to get into the, luxury, high-end apartment communities or whatever. So I will say, if you're going for that, appearance plays a big role. I don't care what nobody say. Your appearance plays a big role in that. Now, those luxury apartments, communities, or high-rise luxury buildings, I feel like you're not just selling or renting apartments. You are basically selling an experience. You are selling a whole lifestyle, because a lot of the times these apartment communities, they have a gym, a fitness center, a pool, jacuzzis, they have rooftop decks, they have fire pits, they have grills, they have lots of amenities. So you literally don't even have to leave home ever. They have concierge will collect your packages. Some of these places even have food, where you can buy food right on site. You go downstairs and there's a little store or something like that. So you're basically selling an experience, a lifestyle, and you are a part of that whole package, that whole lifestyle. You get what I'm saying? So as I always say in my previous videos, how I always compare the luxury apartment market to, let's say, Maserati. So if you go into a Maserati dealer, the level of service you're going to get is not going to be the same as if you went to a Honda dealer. So just think of it like that. So when you are looking to get into those luxury properties, just think, this is the Maserati dealer, not the Honda dealer, okay? Shout out to everybody who drive Hondas. Nothing wrong with Hondas. I'm just saying. Yes, appearance is everything. So when you go into your interviews, you have to be clean. Clean, understand me? So fellas, your suits cannot be ill-fitting. No more ill-fitting suits. If you can't afford a suit, go to the thrift store. People donate suits all the time. Your suit needs to be nice, and it needs to fit you well, okay? And ladies, same with you. You need to be polished. Your makeup should be light. Hair should be as safe as possible. Your nails need to be neatly manicured. We're not doing the stiletto nails. We're not doing, the long coffin nails. We're not being creative, okay? We're going to go to the interview as safe as we can, okay? Your clothing, please wear something that is also something that suits your figure. So if you're skinny like myself, I tend to go towards clothing that is more, fitted to my body shape. But if you are a plus size woman, you wear what suits you. The ruching, the, flowy, whatever it is, wear that. And so for the interview, all interviews are different. It just depends on the type of property that you will be working at. So I noticed for the more high end, where property management companies actually run the property. I would say something like Greystar or the Bozzuto Group. I know the Bozzuto Group is like one of the largest in the country. So if you are interested in property management, you've probably heard of the Bozzuto Group. And I feel like the Bozzuto Group, these are the types of companies that have pretty long interviews, I would say, in my own experience. Well, the Bozzuto Group, they have a digital interview. So you go on, you record a video, and if they like your video, then they invite you in for the physical interview. And they literally go point by point. They have like a paper where they're reading you the questions, and it's a very formal interview. And I have a video on my YouTube channel about the most frequently asked questions for property management interviews. So if you want to check that out, you can go through my property management playlist and go check that out. But yeah, it's pretty formal. It's high, you know, what's your 3 strongest strengths, your weaknesses. Like, they're asking you like that formal interview by the book. So I'd say, as always, when you go into an interview, be confident. Property management, it's sales. Essentially, it's a sales position. So how are you going to rent any apartments if you are not confident? So I know interviews are like nerve-wracking, but they don't have to be. Just go in confident and be yourself. But also, you need to speak in complete sentences, like no, yeah, and, you know, put your best foot forward. Bring your best self to that interview, you know what I'm saying? Because obviously want to see that you can speak well and you were able to communicate with potential residents and all that great stuff. So that's what you would need to do. So yeah, you have those very formal interviews where it's like point by point by point by point. And then I went on an interview like 2 weeks ago where I went in, and this is mostly people who are developers or investors, and they're hiring people to manage their own properties. They really don't have time for all the point by point by point. So he literally had on a blue t-shirt, okay, some blue jeans and some boots. And he sat down and he just said, hey, tell me about yourself, right? So, you know, I'm being as, you know, I'm putting my best foot forward, and I'm like, hi, I am Kenya. You know, my last position was in property management, and in that position, I was responsible for creating leases, lease renewals, collecting rents. So I'm going point by point, and then he gave me a look. You got to be able to understand social cues as well. A look that told me, listen, I'm in a rush. I'm trying to get these interviews on and popping. We need to speed it up. Literally. And I worked in property management, and I've had to sit through some sales pitches and look like I gave a damn. And so I got where he was coming from. I learned how to do that. And his partner, who was sitting next to him, was literally like, the other man in the interview was literally like, and I've had interviews like that where it's 2 people, one person is doing the talking and the other person is just like looking at the ceiling, or they're on their phone, or they just got their own stuff going on and they're not paying attention to you. I wouldn't take offense to that, but that happens when you're working in real estate, you know? And so, so yes, he gave me the look like, so I look at him like, I got you. And then he gives me the look like, okay. And so basically, I just sped it up. I was like, I was responsible for this. I'm, you know, proficient in Yardi, Voyager, this, that, and the third, and that was that. He asked me a couple of questions. I was like, answered those. He asked me if I had any questions. I said no, and that was the end of the interview. It just depends on the company that you're interviewing for. They're all pretty different. And then I've had some people interview me that were totally confused, you know, because my broker always says this. He was like, people who work in real estate, it's not that they're smart or they're intelligent or they know about real estate. It's just that they have the money to invest and keep flipping that money, you know. And I went to an interview where the interviewer was totally confused, right? The interviewer was confused. I was so frustrated that I knew I wasn't getting the job because I was just confused. Not really confused, I was just like annoyed that the interviewer was confused. So I was explaining to him that I previously worked in property management. However, I'm a real estate agent and I do rentals. And he could not understand what the difference between being a real estate agent was and working in property management. And I was trying to explain to him that in real estate, I just rent the apartment out for the landlord and I never see those people again. And he kept asking me, as a real estate agent, do I sit in offices? And I'm explaining to him, no, like I just go to my broker's office when I need to put in an application or collect a check, but I don't have to go to an office. Well, he's like confusing this whole thing. And I'm like, with property management, they have like leasing offices where there's a leasing agent that sits in the office all day to complete, like, you know, to take care of the residents and to tour prospective residents. With a real estate agent, we don't do that. And he's like, well, who's taking care of the building? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm only, you know, the landlord only hires me to rent out the apartment. I don't know how that goes. And he's like, well, how many units do you rent out? I'm like, sometimes it could be a 1-family house. Sometimes it could be a 70 apartments, 100 apartments. And he's like, well, how? And it's like, he was like challenging me as if I'm not telling the truth. And I'm just like, you know, not all buildings, especially pre-war buildings, they weren't built with like leasing offices or a place where a leasing agent could sit, you know? So, this is why landlords hire real estate agents, because in major cities, a lot of buildings don't have like leasing offices. A lot of these buildings you cannot get into without a leasing agent, you know? That's just how it is. And one thing I learned about working in major cities as a real estate agent is that a lot of times these like fancier buildings, if a lot of real estate agents, we put our cards in like the vestibule, like that door, right? But there's like a little vestibule between, like it's one door, a vestibule, the vestibule, and then there's the main door where you go in. We put our business cards there because when people are looking to move and they see a building that they would like to move in, they usually go to that building, look through the business cards, the real estate agent's cards, pick one, and contact an agent to see if there is an apartment available in that building. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to explain to him, and it was not clicking. And I got so frustrated trying to explain to him. And I'm just like, and then when he leaves, there was another lady in the interview with me. And I was like, who is he? And she was like, that was the investor, like the developer. And I was confused. And I'm just like, yo, he has no clue how this works or whatever. Then I had another interview, and you know, since I'm very knowledgeable within real estate, that's another thing I have to watch out for on my interviews, not just speaking enough, you know, not too much. So I was asking him how many phases, because in my brain I'm just calculating how much money I can make working at this property, because they had a base salary plus commissions on each apartment that you rent. And so I was asking him how many phases, and usually like a developer will build one building and then start renting that out, then start working on another building, so it'll be like 3 to 4 phases. And then he literally asked me, the interviewer, are you secret shopping me? I was like, me? I was like, I'm definitely not secret shopping you. I'm literally here for the interview. But that was an interesting one. So I just feel like, as nervous as you probably are going on interviews, the interviewer is probably nervous as well, or not as confident in interviewing you. So just let it flow, go with the flow. So yes. And so when you are invited to an interview, make sure that when you're looking at the email, there should be like a website linked at the bottom of the email. Click on that link to see what types of properties that you will be working at. You know, is it a regular garden apartment? Will you be working between 3 buildings? You know, is it a luxury high rise? Is it a luxury apartment community? Try to get a feel of what type of property you will be working at before you even get there. And you know, if you have any questions, ask those questions at the interview. So especially if you're looking at your email, right, and it usually will tell you like who you'll be interviewing with, who to ask for, and if it's a woman or if it's a man. You know, you notice that the person interviewing you has a Jewish name, right? Ladies, we're not gonna wear to our interviews are pencil skirts. I feel like pencil skirts show a lot of your shape. It shows a lot of your figure. So we're gonna put the pencil skirts back in our closet, okay? And you know, just be mindful of how much leg you're showing. Try to wear, if you're going to wear a dress, make sure it's like over the kneecaps, you know? I always try to wear dresses. If I know that the interviewer, by looking at the name, is going to be Jewish, I make sure that my skirt is going to be longer. And my property management job that I had, it was run by a Jewish family, and when I went to my interview, I was wearing a black dress. It was like long sleeve, and my dress literally came like down to here, and I was wearing like some pumps, but they were like, you know, like ponytail pumps, but they were a reasonable height, and I was wearing nude stockings, and I had like a blazer over it. So my outfit was very conservative. It was all black, you know. You don't have to wear all black, but I would stay away from a lot of patterns. Maybe stick to like a neutral colors, all black, navy blue, or maybe a beige suit or something like that. But just be conscious of what you're wearing to your interview. You don't want to be overly exposed if you are going to be interviewing, you know, if the interviewer is going to be Jewish, you know. So I don't know, those are just some of my tips for interviews. And as far as appearance goes, let's get back to that. So I do go to quite a few properties throughout the week to evaluate the leasing agents and the property managers, and I noticed that there are not, I'm going to be honest, there are not a lot of black women in these fields. I don't see too many black women. I can count on this hand how many black women I've seen in this working in this industry. But then again, I work in the Northeast, I work in northern New Jersey, so I do my evaluations in northern New Jersey and sometimes Manhattan, New York City. So I don't see too many black women working in these industries. I gotta keep it real. I do, however, see a lot of black men working in property management, and as I've stated, the higher end ones, the black men, they be clean. Ladies, if you're looking for an eligible bachelor that looks good in suits, just go travel around some property. Go to some apartment communities, okay? That's what they all are. And as far as hair, I've seen a couple of black men with locks in their hair. However, their locks were very neat, okay? The edge ups was on point, you know. I've seen like another man with like a man bun before. His hair was like in a ponytail, but again, that shape up, it was on point. And so you got to understand, if you are wanting to work in this industry and you are an artsy type of chick, I'm an artsy type of chick. I just stick to wearing black just because it just goes, you know, it just fits my personality. But you can't think to yourself, like if you're into hair and makeup, you can't be coming to work with all the color eyeshadows on. That's not going to do it. All the color hairs, like green, purple, blue, you're not gonna be able to wear that in this field. You can't think, okay, I'm gonna dye my hair red like Megan Thee Stallion the night before, and then it don't come out right, and you go to work the next day looking halfway crazy. That's not gonna fly. If you didn't fix your twist out the night before, ladies, you got the natural hair, and you wake up the next morning, you can't go to work like, oh, I'm just going, no. Like, appearance, you have to, I have never seen an unattractive person in this industry. To me personally, I know beauty is subjective, but I have not. So yes, that's all I have to say about working in property management. Those are just my tips for the interviews, and those are just my tips for interviews. And oh yeah, make sure when you come to your interview, this is a really important one. I don't know why I forgot about this one, but when you go to your interviews, make sure you have at least 2 resumes on hand. 2 resumes, because sometimes there are 2 people that will be, you know, sitting there questioning you, asking you interview questions. So just make sure you bring hard copies, 2 hard copies of your resume. Most of the time your interviewer will have a copy in front of them that they print out from the web, but I would suggest that you bring your own. Just be as prepared as possible. And if you need tips on how to create a resume, I do have a resume, how to create a resume video on my YouTube channel. Just search back a couple months and you should find it, you know. So I would suggest that you check it out, because I've gotten lots of interviews with my resume, so obviously I'm doing something right. So that's it. So those are just some of my tips and things I wanted to share about just being prepared for an interview in property management, based on my own experiences and based on, you know, just me being someone who evaluates leasing agents and property management on a weekly basis. And it's crazy because this one property manager I evaluated, I was looking online and I saw her position online like 2 weeks afterwards. I was like, oh, I hope that ain't have nothing to do with me, period, personally. But yeah, and property management, working in property management, that's just the position where you have to be on at all times. So I'm going to talk about that in another video. Because a lot of people feel like they want to get into property management because it looks good, it looks glamorous, and you know, it's something great to do, you know, something great to have on a resume. However, I don't think people understand how, I wouldn't say rigorous the position is, but how like I said, you have to be on at all times, you know. So yeah, I hope that this video was helpful, and if you found it helpful in any way, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe on your way out, and I'm going to see you guys in my next YouTube video. Toodles.